So with our lovely Mr. T, we're going to warm up again with some loose leash walking. So I know I had mentioned a little bit earlier, one of the other videos with Mr. Z, is that a lot of times if your puppy starts to think that gear equals go bananas, like I mentioned earlier, you may find that sometimes practicing with your puppy's gear on, but then you work on other skills while they're rocking it. If the leash tends to only really come out when you're going outside, it can start to become the thing preemptively saying this is what's going to happen next. So if at times equipment equals a lot of excitement or some anxiety, I would make it that practicing with gear throughout the home can sometimes not always equal the thing they were anticipating. So having your puppy sometimes dragging the leash while in the home and supervised, you don't want to do this unsupervised. Remember that if your babe is unattended, they should technically be naked, unless, again, someone is home and then can keep an eye on them. The reason behind that, there have been times, sadly, and I'm not trying to scare anybody, where dogs have become entangled with their equipment or their collars, and the collars tend to have a lot of dangly identification and licensing and all these other fun things. Oh, he brought me his bully. That's very nice. But if, let's say, your puppy were to get stuck on the heat ducts, or maybe they get stuck on the grate, within the home for the heat or the cool air to come through in the home at times, your pup could also get caught on other household items. So remember that suffocation through strangulation sadly can happen, and it can also happen within a crate or other type of confinement. So I would highly recommend to make sure the dog is without gear when they're being unsupervised, so that way you can make sure it's a safe dynamic for both you and your puppy for later down the road. So when working with Mr. Handsome, so I'm just going to collect up his gear. I know he's got his little bully stick, but maybe we'll leave it there for now. Is I would go ahead and get his attention and then just start feeding for little moments when he's by the leg. So if you prefer to work him on the left or the right, either side is fine. But I would just go ahead. He's like, oh, I'll walk around with my snack. Ready? Teddy. Good job. He says, lady, it's all these cool things. It's all I ever wanted. So notice how when he does grab something, he's allowed to have like a little piece of his bully stick that mom brought in from home. I'm just going to do a quick little exchange. So you notice how I did a couple find its, and then he was able to disengage from the bully and then go and grab the snacks off the floor. And then we were able to go back into working another skill, but I was able to then get the item away from him without making it confrontational. I wouldn't do an exchange where you have, let's say, for example, a piece of food or a treat or whatever, and you go right to the puppy's little face and try to exchange there. For a lot of pups, if things are of a higher value and they have a little bit of a harder time exchanging something, you don't want to make it seem more confrontational or scary by making it where there's very little space between you and them. So spatially, ready, Teddy? A lot of dogs get flustered as we go into their bubble and invade their space. So just like with us, if we were enjoying a really cool or delicious snack of some kind and someone just came over and started swiping part of your snack, you probably wouldn't be the happiest person. So remember, from your dog's perspective, they don't really understand that at times you're not really looking to take the thing, but when you're coming nearby, they maybe would like to have some of that quiet time to enjoy their item by themselves. Remember that when your dog is sleeping or resting, that I would recommend to leave them be. So ready, Tenny? Because if, let's say, when you were taking a nap or you were dead asleep in the middle of the night and someone decided to come visit you, one of your friends, and barged into your house, you probably would get startled, overwhelmed, and maybe not have the greatest response. So remember, the way we interact with each other can sometimes be very similar to the way the dog might interact at times when feeling they also need space or some agency to their own autonomy, so their body. Nice job. So by giving your puppy the option to move around also makes them feel less trapped. So a lot of times in the home, your puppy could be stuck up on a piece of furniture and maybe they feel there's no outlet. Ready? And maybe they're, for example, in their crate and then we're approaching and they feel that there's no escape. Or other times just being in the home could make them feel like they're kind of a little bit more unable to use, again, flight to get out of the situation with movement. So I find, ready, Teddy? It can be really beneficial to get your puppy comfortable disengaging from items like we mentioned in the toy exchange game. But also you'll see that when I did disengage him from the bully stick, I made it where the find it went further away from his original item. So that way when I go to retrieve the item I was hoping to put away for a moment, it didn't equal me invading his space to then grab the thing. And that I find can be where a lot of hiccups happen. He's like, I'm all set with my kibble. I only want the good stuff. And that's all right. That one wasn't too bad. Nope, he says, no thanks. So for Mr. T, obviously practicing loose leash walking could happen with your gear on, could also happen with your gear off. He's just very interested in going back outside again, so he keeps wanting to head back towards the door. 2, I feel that when we put on his gear, he tends to equal gear means we're going outside again, not the end of the world, but he tends to get a little bit more interested in going back out through the doorway to go to the restroom or to go explore than he does on focusing while wearing it. So a lot of times he tends to do even better when he's off gear because he doesn't associate, again, the gear with going outdoors. Ready? Or I mean, he does associate, sorry. By the end of the day, my brain also starts to melt. Ready? Like a boy. So right here, we're just kind of capturing those little moments while he's by the side and feeding for those lovely moments. Ready? Teddy. If I do start to lose him, I just either regain his attention with some name recognition, yes, or I sometimes help him by luring him back over to the side in the beginning. But remember, all these lovely luring moments would eventually get faded out as the behavior becomes more resilient and reliable. Nice job. What a smart man. Ready? With me. Gorgeous. Nice. So, but for homework's sake, make sure that sometimes we're taking into consideration how you or the puppy are feeling for the day, and keep your session short. I know Mom had mentioned, oh, sorry if I bumped the mic, is that if your sessions are at times only a couple minutes at a moment, that is not a bad thing. So I know she had mentioned that when she went outside, they were practicing a little bit in the driveway and he was doing great. And then all of a sudden he got really distracted by the environment and had to go do some sniffing. Remember that obviously your puppies see their whole world through their sense of smell. So if they are in a new environment or they just went outside versus inside, you may find that you have to let them get cozy in the place you're going to practice. So let's say there's a certain part of your environment you're going to work in. Excuse me, I like to let my pups first go and get their decompression sniffs out so they can go explore the bubble in which we're going to practice, but get to see the lay of the land through their sense of smell. So again, they see their world through their nose the way we see it through our eyes. So if sometimes we're trying a new environment and your pup didn't get the chance to get comfortable or decompress and go explore it, that's almost like me walking you through an environment and having you blindfolded. You maybe are, again, going to feel a little bit more apprehensive. You won't really know where to go. You won't know if it's going to be safe to tread around that space. So for Mr. T right now, make sure that little comfortable bubble does get a chance to get explored, and then work from the exploration back onto focus with you. Remember, those sniffy walks are another great way to add enrichment, help him slow down, and also give him a lot of mental stimulation that could be actually more tiring than working your loose leash walking in the sense of focusing on you the whole time. I do like to rotate through both so my puppies get comfortable doing either skill set. But either one would still equal softness on equipment, so you or the puppy are not getting harmed with the pull. So that would be something we'd want to make sure we're still working on, that he's not getting good at pulling equals more pulling. But all in all, he's been doing a splendid job. So we'll give him a little break and we'll do some more skills in a little bit. He says, good, I'm exhausted.